A user raises a purchase order in SAP. The moment they save it, a printed PO document appears on the supplier's printer, perfectly formatted, branded with the Acme logo, showing every line item, the delivery address, payment terms, and legal text. No manual intervention, no emailing PDFs. It just happens. That is forms output. Whether it is a purchase order, an invoice, a delivery note, or a bank transfer confirmation, SAP documents need formatted, printable output. In classic ABAP, two technologies do this: Smart Forms and Adobe Forms. This module covers both and shows you how to build the driver program that calls them. By the end of this module, you will be able to explain the Smart Forms three-layer architecture, create a form in transaction SMARTFORMS, write a complete driver program using SSF_function_module_nav, describe the Adobe Forms architecture including interface, context, layout, and ADS, explain interactive versus print PDF forms, configure NACE output determination so forms fire automatically, and control print output for immediate, spool, preview, and background scenarios. Part 1 introduces Smart Forms, the long-standing SAP form technology. It is built on 3 layers: a form object you design in transaction SMARTFORMS, a function module that SAP generates automatically each time you activate the form, and a driver program that you write to load data and call the form. The clean separation between form design and driver code is what makes Smart Forms maintainable in production. Form designers can refine layout and node trees in Smart Forms while developers update only the driver when business logic or data sources change. Smart Forms has 3 layers. First is the form object, designed in transaction SMARTFORMS. This is a repository object that contains everything: the interface declaring what data the form needs, the page layout defining windows and their positions, and the nodes, text elements, table nodes, graphics, flow logic that make up the actual form content. Second is the generated function module. Every time you activate a Smart Form, SAP generates a function module with a unique name in the pattern /1BCDWB/SF followed by numbers. You never call this FM by its hard-coded name because the name changes with every activation. Third is the driver program, the ABAP code you write that retrieves data, gets the current FM name dynamically using SSF_function_module_, then calls that FM passing your data. This separation means form designers can update the layout without touching the driver. Transaction SMARTFORMS opens the form builder, a node tree on the left, a work area on the right that changes based on which node you select. The form interface is where you declare the parameters your form needs. Importing parameters become the FM's parameters from the caller's perspective. Declare IS_PO_header for the PO header and IT_PO_ lines for the line items. Always include control_parameters of types FTLOP and output_options of types COMPOP. These are standard and SAP provides default handling for them. Pages define the physical page size and orientation. You can chain page 1 as first and page 2 as next, and Smart Forms flows content automatically. Within each page you place windows. The main window is special. It expands as needed to hold variable length content like a table of line items. Other windows have fixed dimensions. Table nodes link to an internal table and output header, data, and footer rows for each row in the table. The remaining node types fill out the rest of the form. Text nodes carry static or dynamic text using the ampersand symbol ampersand syntax. For example, and is_header and references a form symbol. Text nodes support mixed formatting: bold, italic, color, font size. Flow logic nodes give you ABAP-like if/else conditions, loops, and perform calls to external ABAP form routines for any logic that does not fit cleanly into the node tree. Alternative nodes are a cleaner conditional pattern. Render the left subtree if the condition is true, the right subtree otherwise. Use alternative nodes for simple if/else and flow logic for anything more complex. The driver program follows a 5-step pattern. Step 1. Load your data. Select the PO header and line items into structures and tables. Step 2. Get the generated FM name by calling SSF_function_ with your form name. If sy subarc is not 0, the form does not exist. Handle the error and return. Step 3. Populate the control parameters. Svjlop controls how output is delivered. No_dialog X to suppress the print dialog, essential for background jobs. Preview X to show a screen preview. GetOtfX to capture the output as OTF for PDF conversion. Step 4. Call the function module dynamically using call function with lv_fm_. Pass control_parameters, output_options, and every interface parameter the form declares. Handle the declared exceptions, formatting_error, internal_error, send_error, user_cancelled. Step 5 for batch. Wrap the loop with SSF_open before and SSF_close after so all output goes into one combined spool request. Always set no_dialog X in batch. Without it, the print dialog pops up and the background job hangs indefinitely. Adobe Forms, accessed via transaction SFP, produces native PDF output through the Adobe Document Services Engine, ADS. The architecture has 4 layers. First, the interface, identical in concept to Smart Forms. Declare importing parameters and exceptions. Second, the context, unique to Adobe Forms. You map interface parameters to context nodes in a data tree. The context is what the layout can see and bind to. Add structure subnodes to flatten nested data. Third, the layout, opened in Adobe Lifecycle Designer, embedded inside the SAP GUI. You design the visual form here, text fields, tables, images, and bind each one to a context node using the Data View panel. Fourth, ADS renders the final PDF at print time. ADS is a Java service configured on the SAP application server. Part 2 covers the modern Adobe Forms stack and the operations layer around output. You will see how SFP wires interface, context, and layout together, how the SFP driver pattern mirrors Smart Forms with FP_prefixed function module names, how NACE automatically triggers forms when business documents are saved, and how the Svjlop and Skompop control structures let you choose between immediate print, spool, preview, and background-safe output. Working with SFP follows 3 tabs that mirror the architecture. Interface tab, define importing parameters, is_PO_header, IT_PO_lines, and declare exceptions, identical in role to the Smart Forms interface. This becomes the generated FM signature. Context tab, map interface parameters into a hierarchical context tree. Drag parameters from the interface to the context. Add structure subnodes to flatten nested structures. Layout tab, opens Adobe Lifecycle Designer, embedded. Drag fields from the Data View panel onto the form canvas and bind each one to a context node. The driver program pattern is almost identical to Smart Forms with different function module names. Use fp_function_module_name to get the FM name, fp_job_open, and fp_job_close to bracket your print session. Then call function with your data. Interactive Adobe Forms have viewable fields and can submit back to SAP, common in HR scenarios like leave requests, increasingly replaced by Fiori apps in modern landscapes. In a production SAP system, forms are rarely called directly from custom driver programs. They are triggered automatically through NACE, SAP's condition-based output determination engine. The process has 5 steps. First, define an output type in transaction NACE. For example, output type NEU for a new PO in application V1, purchasing. Each output type has a condition type, timing, and partner function. Second, in SPRO, assign a processing program and form routine to the output type. For standard Smart Forms, this is typically Revator 01 with entry point entry_NEU. For custom forms, you register your own driver FM. Third, create condition records using transaction MN04 for purchasing. Condition records define when the output fires, for example, all POs for company code ACME, medium print, timing 1 immediately on save. Fourth, when a PO is created or changed, SAP evaluates the condition records and creates output messages on the document. Fifth, transaction ME9F processes pending output. The driver program runs for each document, calls the form, and generates the spool or direct print output. NACE makes forms output automatic and consistent. Consultants configure it, developers build the form and driver, business users just save their documents. The SVLOP and SVCOMPOP structures give you precise control over form output. The three most important combinations: no_dialog X for background safe silent print, sends directly to printer, no user interaction, safe for batch jobs. Preview X for an on-screen preview the user can review before printing, only suitable in the foreground, common during interactive form testing. GetOTF to capture the output as OTF data, which you then convert to PDF using the convert_OTF function module. The PDF conversion path, getOTF, then convert_OTF, is the standard way to generate a PDF attachment for an email. After convert_OTF, you have a binary table LT_PDF that you can attach to a BCS email, store in archive link, or transfer via file download. Output destination is set in SVCOMPOP. Dest is the SAP printer destination. DimDex prints immediately rather than waiting in spool. Copies sets the number of copies. To preview X shows the preview dialog. This is the decision matrix. For all new form development on ABAP systems, the SLIDE standard is Adobe Forms, SFP. The PDF output is native, no OTF round trip. Adobe Lifecycle Designer is far more capable than the Smart Forms form builder. Interactive PDFs are supported, and Adobe Forms is the only option on Cloud ABAP and SAP BTP. Smart Forms remains the right choice when you are maintaining an existing legacy form. There is no business case to rebuild a stable, working form just to change technology. The naming helpers differ. SSF_function_module for Smart Forms, FP_function_module for Adobe Forms. Batch session functions also differ. SSF_open and SSF_close versus FP_open and FP_close. Both technologies integrate fully with NACE. For mistakes to avoid absolutely. First, calling the generated function module by its hard-coded name. The name changes every time the form is activated. Always use SSF_function_module_name at runtime to retrieve the current name and then call the FM dynamically. Second, not setting no_dialog X in a background job. Without it, the print dialog pops up and the background job hangs indefinitely, blocking a work process. Third, printing multiple forms without SSF_open and SSF_close. Each call creates a separate spool request for a batch of 500 POs, that is 500 spool requests, a significant performance and administration problem. Open a batch session with SSF_open before the loop and close it with SSF_close after. Fourth, covered in the script though not on the slide cards, forgetting to pass an interface parameter in the driver program. If the form interface declares IT_PO_lines but the driver call omits it, the table is empty and the form prints blank line item sections. Always check your call against the complete interface definition. Quick recap. Smart Forms, 3 layers, form object, generated FM, driver program. Use SSF_function_module to get the FM name. Never hard-code it. Control parameters. No_dialog for background. Preview for screen preview. GetOT for PDF conversion. For batch. SSF_open before loop. SSF_close after. Adobe Forms. Interface. Context. Layout. Adobe LC Designer. ADS renders the PDF. Use FP_function_module and FP_open/FP_close. Print forms for static output. Interactive forms for viewable PDF. NACE ties forms to business documents automatically through condition-based output determination. Condition records define when output fires. Me9F processes pending output. Closeout. SLIDE standard is Adobe Forms, SFP, for all new development. Smart Forms for legacy maintenance only. Your lab assignment is Lab C04. Build Zacme_PO_form. The Acme Purchase Order Smart Form, with a header window, a line items table node, and a batch-safe driver program that uses SSF_function_module and SSF_SSF_close. Coming up next is C05, DinPro Fundamentals, covering Screen Painter SE51, PBO and PAI modules, ScreenFlow logic, and classical DinPro elements. Good luck on the lab.